Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of North McKinney, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is the fastest way to directly connect with me. And if you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Grow Folds. Anyways, we are at the Lowe's off of North McKinney. I know I've been doing a lot of plant shopping at Lowe's, but I just can't help myself in the fact that being based out in North Dallas, out in the Frisco, McKinney, Prosper area, there are just so many available Lowe's to go to. And while they're all very similar in just the amount of plants that they actually have, there might be some new plant finds. I'm actually looking for some more trending tropical plants from Costa Farms, but you can see it is the holiday season. So, we're about to get into week 2 of November, and you can see we've already got the poinsettias available. You can see we've got some golden pothos and Hydra Helix mixes over there. And then we're gonna just walk over here and see what indoor tropical plants that they have available. I will mention that I am gonna walk out into the outdoor section, but you definitely want to watch all the way at the very end of this video to see some of the plant finds that I found. It was super unexpected. But you can see here we've got some Norfolk pine, and then obviously we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids by Costa Farms. We got a bunch of palms, some Majesty palms, and then we also have some live trend plants as well as urban jungle plants, which I will touch base on as soon as I'm done showing you some of the outdoor plants. But you can see right over here, these are live trend planters. This one is for $14.98. I really like the look of that. And then you can see that live trends, what I really appreciate about live trends, and I mentioned this in all my videos, this one is for $6.98. This is an owl with an air plant, is that they have some very nice looking, very modern looking planters. I love the planters specifically. They're very stylish. You can see they're very minimalistic. I love the colors that they utilize for their planters as well. Live Trends design, and I asked this with all of my plant foldies. And for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. My name is Richie. I tend to ask a lot of engagement questions in terms of just what your thoughts are about the plants. But as far as your plant aesthetic, what you like for your planters, can you leave in the comments? Do you like more like traditional planters? Do you like planters that have a lot of texture? Do you like matte finishes? Do you like shiny glazes? I just really want to know what you guys like. It's very fun for me to do these plant shopping videos because I can interact with you, and that's the beauty of the Grow Folds Plant Foldy community, is we can interact with each other alongside talking about plant care tips. So you can see right here, these are some self-watering planters by Live Trends. These are some Sansevieria or snake plants, and snake plants are one of the most easiest plants to grow in a plant collection. Actually, they do much better in neglect. Overwatering the snake plant will definitely kill it. It'll give it root rot. So you just want to make sure that you water your snake plant when it is 100% dry. And honestly, you can go a little bit longer than that. I would let it stay dry completely for another week before you water the snake plant. I was given some feedback about just giving a little bit more plant care tips. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit more insight on some of the videos that I will be premiering this week. As far as snake plants, they are tolerant of low light conditions, but just like any plant, if you're able to give them more so bright indirect light, I think that would be the best way to go about these snake plants, is to give them the best lighting conditions possible. But again, if you have an area that has a lower light setting, you can place a snake plant. Same thing with a Haworthia. So these are Haworthias, and Haworthias have these really nice patterns. They look like zebras, honestly, and they have almost like an aloe vera look about them, or even a snake plant look. You can see that Live Trends has a bunch of these holiday themed planters. That's another thing I like about holiday themed planters is Live Trends tends to be very much so seasonally relevant when it comes to that. I know last month they had a bunch of like spooky ghost type planters. They had some cute cat planters, and now they have these little baskets with a little Christmas tree as kind of just a little decoration for it. Very minimalistic, but it does get the job done. And if you look at the texture of the planter, it really looks like a burlap type basket. And those are the little nuances I appreciate about planters. And you can even see here, this Haworthia right here is also very much a similar care tip for a Sansevieria. It can tolerate lower light conditions, even though it is considered a succulent plant. And you know, when you think of succulents, I always say succulents are synonymous to bright light, but Haworthias are able to tolerate lower light conditions. I really didn't believe it at first when I read it, but that is the truth about these Haworthias. Obviously, bright indirect light is what you want to give it if it's possible. And as far as keeping these plants on the drier side, I would recommend that, because if you put a Haworthia in a situation where you're overwatering the soil, it will definitely root rot it. And you know, that's a lot of the reasons why a lot of plants end up going to plant heaven, is because we're overwatering the plant. Sometimes, depending on the plant, except for like Calatheas, Thenanthes, Tremanthes, those types of prayer type plants, being more on the drier side or more on the underwatering side is actually easier as compared to overwatering. I would consider myself definitely an underwaterer. And for those that don't know what the term underwatering means, it means that you're not watering as frequently as you're supposed to for that particular plant's care needs. And for me, it's a lot of times because I don't have the time to actually water my plants. And you know, some people will challenge me and ask me, then why are you taking care of plants if you don't have the time to do so? My answer to that is I just simply love plants. Unfortunately, I haven't, you know, gotten that much time, and you know, that is probably a good signal for me to just slow down on maybe my plant buying. But as far as just the plants in general, it's one of those things where I definitely feel like being an underwater is really because of the lack of time I have a very demanding career, and you know, the holiday season, it's definitely my peak season for what I do. You know, typically I work a 10-hour shift, but you know, it's starting to move to where it's like a 12-hour shift, so literally half a day at work. But you know, I still try to find time to make these plant shopping videos because I enjoy picking up plants like this gorgeous looking urban jungle plant by Urban Jungle Plants. This is an Epipremnum aureum, pearls and jade pothos. You can see that it almost looks like similar to an Njoy pothos, although you can see the difference between an Njoy pothos and a pearls and jade is pearls and jade has little speckles of variegation, splotches of green, and it is a little bit faster than the Njoy pothos. It also has smaller leaves as compared to the golden pothos, but it is one that I would recommend to anybody's plant collection. And what I like about it is even if you don't give it nearly as much light, the variegation will not really revert. This one is a Philodendron heteracea Brazil, and again, this is by Urban Jungle, and this is a plant that I feature pretty much in every single video. And so those that are watching my videos, you already know that you've probably seen this plant previously. The reason why I show you a lot of these plants from big box stores is because, number one, most of these plants that I show you are probably plants that you could potentially acquire. Number two, these plants are cost effective. And in number three, a lot of the plants like the Philodendron heteracea, most people will overlook that, especially if you're more so of a collector that wants more of the rare aroids. Now, as much as I love the green patterns on this particular leaf, this is a green Marantha, I know better than to pick up plants that are going to just be more on the wetter side in terms of watering. Like, this plant needs to stay moist. This plant needs to have more humidity. This plant needs to have bright indirect light, but not too much light. It's just a plant that really needs a little bit more, you know, I guess, requirements for the environment it needs to live in order for it to actually grow long term. And you know, unfortunately for me, being an underwaterer, and I think some of you guys can actually you know, relate to me, or maybe I'm the only one who doesn't water their plants on a consistent basis. Please again, leave in the comments if you are an underwaterer, or if you do believe that I just need to have more time and less plants. I you know, don't mind the feedback, but Maranthas are difficult to grow. Now this Epipremnum aureum neon pothos, very easy plant to grow. You can see it looks like it's on the drier side right now. The leaves are drooping a little bit, and that is a way to tell whether the pothos plant needs to be watered. That one is actually in drought at the moment, but as soon as you water it, within a couple of hours, it will perk back up. And that's the thing about underrated, overlooked, quote, basic plants. These plants will typically tell you when they need water, what care they need, when they need to be repotted, when it's time to propagate them. There's just a lot of signals, and that's why I recommend the pothos plant. Now we're going to walk over here, and it is a beautiful morning. It's about 10 o'clock when I started filming this video. Tuesdays are my days off, and I really try to maximize the filming because the next 6 days I will be working. So please pray for me that I will survive, this week and then the next week heading into Black Friday. I mean, it is a busy time in just where I work, and it's one of those things where I'm hoping that I can eventually wean away from work. My dream is to be able to actually retire within the next 7 years. That way I can solely focus on plants. But it's never a bad thing to dream. It's never a bad thing to have specific goals. And that's really one of my goals I have. Now, going back to the plants, as you can see, Lowe's has a lot of outdoor gardening plants. And I know that some of you guys are really into more of the indoor tropical plants, but I love all plants. And this channel is really based on all plants. I try not to put it to one very specific niche of a plant because I feel like plants, whether it's indoor, outdoor, herbs, vegetable garden, landscaping, flower garden, bonsai, whatever it is, I know that plants are going to bring somebody happiness. Plants make people happy, and so I want to make sure that I cover all my bases. And honestly, I love plants, whether it's indoor or outdoor. You can see right over here, snapdragon flowers. Snapdragon flowers are flowers just like the pansies, start to show up when it's a little bit colder. They prefer a little bit more of a colder climate. I've actually grown these from seeds, but I haven't successfully been able to get them to bloom like this. The only type of flower I've been able to grow from seeds successfully are marigolds and zinnias. Super easy, but as far as snapdragons, they tend to be a little bit harder for me. And maybe it's because I live in North Dallas, and when I'm trying to grow snapdragons, it's usually in later part of summer when I've got 100-degree weather. And then as you can see over here, plant foldies, we do have a lot of these mixed containers. So we've got crotons, we've got some Asiatic jasmine mixed in here. And I love that variegation on that specific Asiatic jasmine. And you can see right here crotons. And the thing that does make me a little sad is as seasons change, a lot of big box stores will phase out a lot of these seasonal plants. So right now we're seeing a bunch of these crotons where we had so many different varieties of crotons pop up in the month of October. Well, now they're starting to get clearance out. They're starting to phase out. A lot of the crotons are really declining in health. I'm hoping that our plant foldies, wherever you are in the United States, you will come out to a big box store and rescue a couple of crotons because they deserve to grow and they deserve to be part of a really nice home. But now as we walk around here, and I'll show you these in a little bit, you're going to see a lot of trees that are going to be more conducive to having a live Christmas tree. But you can see we still have some mums, and I'm noticing some big box stores are getting mums to be 50% off. And I did want to show you some succulents. So this one is for $6.98. It almost looks like a fuzzy version of an echeveria. So for the succulent experts, I am definitely not an expert. Please leave in the comments if this is some type of echeveria. I do love that. Some succulents have that fuzzy texture about them. I really love the look of that. And then you can see over here, we've got more succulents. These are by Oasis Plants for $9.98. That's a pretty large plant when you think about the amount of plant you're getting for $9.98. Big box stores, hands down, are probably going to be the one source where if you want to buy some cost-effective plants for succulents or cactus, you definitely need to go to a big box store like Lowe's. And that's the thing. People ask me all the time, what are ways to be able to save money on plants? Here are a couple of things. Compare and contrast plant pricing. And that's the reason why, especially if you are in the North Dallas area or the DFW area, please subscribe to my YouTube channel with all the notification bell on. So there's a thing where it has personal notification. What you can do is check your subscription on me and make sure you shift it to all notifications. And the reason why I urge people to do that is because I will always give you the up-to-date pricing, or at least these daily videos will keep you posted on what the current price is at that very moment, especially in the DFW market. Like this one right here, this Echeveria is for $9.98. If you go to some of the local nurseries, sometimes the succulents might be a little bit more pricey, but what I've noticed is if you go to a big box store, and this is just me being impartial to big box stores at this point, you are going to save some money. If you're going to ask me one big box store that's probably going to have the most cost-effective pricing for succulents, I would recommend Walmart. But, you know, Lowe's and Home Depot, it's really within a couple of cents difference. But, you know, in this economy where inflation is real, I guess every penny counts. I'm always looking for the best pricing, and so that's one way to save money. Another way to save money on plants is obviously through plant trade. So if you know somebody who has a plant and you have another plant that you have multiples of, you can do a plant trade. Or better yet, if you have friends or even a community, you can share cuttings or plant propagations. That's how I've been able to acquire some of my more uncommon and rare plants, and that's another way to save money. And then obviously going to Lowe's and checking for their clearance plants. They typically clearance their plants, especially when they start to decline in health. They're typically 50% off. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on today, is specifically on ways to save money on plants, how to work with a specific budget. And that's the reason why, even though I am showing you all of these different succulents, if you are planning on going big box or plant shopping, give yourself a budget. Like today, as I do my big box store plant shopping video, I'm going to have a budget of just $25. And I'm going to give myself that set budget to where if it's not within $25, any surplus means that I don't, number one, have the funds for the plant. And then number two, I probably don't need to add in an extra plant. So we'll see what that looks like. But as far as these succulents and cactus, I've shown you these before. One thing I've really grown to love is actually the opuntia. I think the opuntia right now is a beautiful plant. It's really spiky. I don't know if I could actually grow this in my, my landscape, but we'll see what that looks like. And you can see that they are starting to get ready to get a bunch of live Christmas trees. I'm super excited to see that. But you can also see that we have a bunch of these Croton Petras that are begging to be found a home. I'm hoping that we can find that as well. And then as you can see right over here, these are all the spaces that they're going to be putting all of those live Christmas trees. So for those that actually grow live Christmas trees, at least for the holiday season, let me know what your care tips are on keeping them alive, at least for the month of December. And then over here we have some Encore azaleas, and these azaleas, I love azaleas. They are definitely great plants to put in a Japanese garden. Now azaleas, as far as planting them, you want to make sure that you put them in an area that doesn't get full sunlight. You also want to make sure that they are in more acidic type soil. So the way to get your soil a little bit more acidic is to actually utilize like coffee grounds. That'll make your soil a little bit more acidic, and it is more of an organic take on, you know, soils that I'm just amending your soil. And you can see here we have some camellias. These are also similar to azaleas, where they tend to show up during the colder months of the year, and they actually love acid, acidic soil. And then over here we still have some of the remains of all of the crotons. You know, people bring crotons because they have fall colors, but what most people don't understand is crotons are not a fall plant. It is a Southeast Asian tropical plant, which means they need warmer weather, higher humidity, and full sun. And, you know, fall doesn't have that. You know, fall in the United States, temperatures are cooler, the days are shorter, meaning there's not as much light. And it's just really an interesting, but also a disappointing thing about, or reality about, just the plant seasonality of plants. I know that we grow plants because of certain seasons, but at the same time, they don't necessarily fit the season in which the plants are actually native to, you know, as far as their environment. You can also see here, we have a bunch of cordyline Hawaiian tea plants that were really readily available all throughout the spring and summer. They're starting to dwindle down in numbers, and the same thing with the Calatheas. Now, cordyline Hawaiian tea plant, you really can't grow this indoors. It's more of a outdoor plant specifically for a patio. You can try to grow them indoors or overwinter them, but you're going to have to stay very close to the foliage because those are spider mite magnets. It's the same thing with Calathea as well. You can see that this is an Calathea California in a mixed planter with a bunch of Asiatic jasmine. I love that that variegation. It also had some orange variegation earlier in the season, and that is another one that I wish I had the specific plant ID, because that would be a plant that I would try to grow indoors. Now, the success rate for that, I'm not 100% sure. And then you can see right over here, we do have a bunch of these live Christmas tree type plants. So a lot of pines, a lot of cypress, a lot of juniper type plants. And then you can see over here, they have the nice ribbon here. This is for $19.98. You can see that this is another one that I saw. I love the fragrance of some of these pines and cypress. They do have a nice smell to them, and I cannot wait to see more of the live Christmas trees coming in. That is another type of you know, seasonal plant that I want to see. And, you know, as far as the holidays, you know, we look at, sometimes we overstress ourselves out over like Thanksgiving and especially Christmas, where everybody's looking for a specific type of gift for people. I always tell people, if you're going to celebrate the holidays, remember why you're celebrating the holidays. For me, it is that little time I have that I can spend with my family in the holidays. And as far as gifting, you don't necessarily have to feel obligated to give people gifts. I always say, you know, the gift of giving is a great, you know, a great thing, but also don't overstretch yourself with having to buy so many gifts for people. Now, for plant lovers like myself, you know, even a plant cutting or a plant would definitely be something great for me as far as a gift. But I always tell my friends and family, I don't really expect anything over the holidays. The only thing I would expect is for people to just wish good health for me and really have some good family and friend time. I think, you know, as I guess with all of the little time I have, especially during this time of the year, time becomes very important. And, you know, you want to make sure that you're present for the people that you're around. I want to be present for the people that I have around me in my life, that, you know, my everyday life, but also for our plant foldy community. So that's why I felt a little bit, you know, discouraged that I wasn't able to live premiere videos. Sometimes I default to doing a, you know, plant shopping compilation video where I reuse some of my footage, but, you know, there's nothing better than actually producing new content. And I'm just thankful that you guys have taken the time night after night during the live premieres to even engage with each other if I'm not able to make it to the live premiere chats. But I'll get off of my soapbox and talk about some of the plant products. So that's another thing about big box or plant shopping, is you will run into so many different plant products you can use. So I always mention plant preventatives for pests. And neem oil is a perfect and safe way to get rid of, you know, pests like spider mites, mealybugs. Super Thrive. I love Super Thrive. I use Super Thrive pretty much in all of my waterings. I just put a very tiny dose in the water. It is that B vitamin that really helps plants that are either stressed or just to give them an extra boost. If you're ever rehabbing plants, Super Thrive is a great thing. If you're ever planting plants, you know, plant propagations, that's a good thing. If you are repotting plants or putting them in semi-hydroponics, Super Thrive is another good addition to the water. Can we talk about how effective fish fertilizer is for any plant watering? Like, you can use fish fertilizer in a very small amount, like maybe a quarter of the dose that it's actually recommending, and you can water your plants with that. I think it's a great thing. It's an organic and safe fertilizer that's not necessarily going to burn your plants. And then I also, and I know some people are not always keen for Miracle-Gro, but Miracle-Gro was actually one of the first fertilizers I've ever been exposed to. My grandmother used them, and they're very much very cost effective as well. This indoor plant food that feeds instantly for indoor plants, I actually spray, or not spray, just squirt one drop of that fertilizer into my water that I use for my semi-hydroponics when I'm first putting a water reservoir, and it works really effective. It gives them just enough nutrients but not too much. And then this quick start plant propagation transplant solution, it's really effective as well, especially when you're repotting plants. And these are fertilizers and plant products that I would recommend, especially if you're on a budget. Scott's Rose and Bloom. So if you have blooming plants and you want to increase their blooms, that is one that I would utilize. A super bloom, especially when you're looking at the phosphorus. I believe it's phosphorus. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The high dose of 55 for phosphorus will really push out more blooms, and that's what you want. And then Osmocote. It is probably the best plant additive fertilizer you can put on a soil substrate. And you can even put just a couple of tiny granules, just a very trace amount, even in your lechuza pond or semi-hydroponics, just to give it a little bit of nutrients. But Osmocote, I love it as well. It is a very versatile fertilizer. It is a slow release fertilizer, so you don't have to worry about that over fertilizing your plants. Now I'm gonna walk over here before we go back inside to see if we can find some plant finds. You can see that we do have a bunch of different types of Christmas trees. You know, the common ones you'll find is Italian stone pine, dwarf Alberta spruce pine, and cypress type plants. I also want to showcase a lot of these succulents and cactus. So I've been liking the look of the Echeveria. Look at how it has it looks like a little flower. It looks so pretty, and it doesn't even look like a real plant. It looks more like a jade carving, like one of those jade Chinese carvings. Really like the look of that. And you can see that these plants are pretty cost effective as well. You can see that this one, I'll just show you the plant IDs. Today I'm not going to have all of the plant IDs just because I am in a little bit of a rush to try to get this plant content out, but I will at least flash the plant name if you're looking for that. This one for $7.98 is a mixed planter of a bunch of succulents. I like that as well. The thing about succulents, again, though, is they do need quite a bit of light, not always full sun, because I made the mistake of putting some succulents out in direct full sun immediately, and they basically melted with the sun. So, you know, it's not always the case, and that's the thing about these plants. It is always a learning curve for me whenever I'm learning about plants, specifically plants that I have never really grown, especially as a child. You know, a lot of my plant knowledge comes from my grandmother, and also just experience. You know, there's not a sheer fire about you know, plant growing. You know, there's only so many tips that somebody can give you whenever you're growing plants. A lot of it has to do with experience, because maybe somebody's plant tips may not necessarily work for you, and it could be a lot of factors. You know, some factors would include the time, the space, the lighting conditions, your natural environment in your home. Many factors, because, you know, maybe somebody that's growing plants in Southeast Asia, you know, might be able to grow all of these plants in full sun outdoors, versus us where we might have to put that plant indoors under a grow light with a humidifier. So as far as plant care tips, I always encourage anybody that's watching the plant videos that I produce to leave it in the comments about some of your plant care tips for some of the plants that I'm featuring today. So as you can see here, I am showing you a bunch of succulents and cactus. Not a fan of this googly eye cactus, nor am I a fan of this little like plastic color that they put on top of the cactus. I kind of find it a little tacky, but that's just my personal opinion. You know, everybody has their own plant aesthetic. I do like Calathea because that is one of the succulents that is really blooming. You know, there's many different versions of Calathea, but this one has many different types of blooms. Now, as far as this one, that vibrant red is so pretty. And as far as these blooming Calathea, you can find them pretty much all year round, any season. They're readily available at big box stores and even grocery stores in the floral section. And then you can see right over here again, $7.98. It's got that red Christmas planter look about it for these succulents. So these would be like little you know, plants that you can gift to somebody who loves plants. I would say though, if you're going to give somebody a plant, especially somebody that's not really keen into collecting plants, maybe you're going to gift them to try to get them to be into plants. find a plant that is easy to care for. And what I mean by easy to care for plants is these couple of characteristics. Number one, they are low light tolerant. Number two, they are drought tolerant. Those two factors will make the transition for somebody who is growing plants for the first time a lot easier as compared to somebody getting gifted a Calathea. And for those that love Calatheas, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm gaslighting Calatheas. It's really not my intent. It's just that lots of people are tempted by its beauty, but there's just a lot more requirements for it. Now, going to these chrysanthemums, you can see that a lot of these chrysanthemums that I was featuring at big box stores are now almost in full premium peak bloom. They have maybe another week where they're just going to be super fluffy, and this one is for $26.98. I've noticed though that some big box stores like Home Depot have made their chrysanthemums or mums 50% off. I also wanted to feature some of these flowers that you can grow in your outdoor space, depending on your grow zone, that are really conducive to a cooler environment. Number one would be cyclamen. Cyclamen are so pretty, and while I do love the pink blooms of this one, what's even more interesting, and this is only for $7.98, is I love the look of that foliage. That foliage has a very distinct look about it. It's got a gorgeous pattern. I love the gray and how it complements the pink. And as far as cyclamen, I don't know all of the plant details as far as the care is concerned. So again, for anybody that has grown cyclamen, please leave in the comments what these specific flowering plants need as far as plant care. I know that growing them indoors long-term is going to be a challenge. I haven't really heard of anybody being able to grow these long-term indoors, although people will grow them indoors as a potted up plant just so you can get some bloom foliage interest. Let me know in the comments though if you do know about the plant care tips. Now, as far as pansies, they do, just like many flowers, require more light, mostly full sun for this one, but it is another one of those flowers that I come in many different varieties. And when you really look close at the bloom of some pansies, they're kind of like Phalaenopsis orchids, where they just have like a unique look about them. They look like they have many different faces, and even the yellow ones are really cute. They tend to come out, they tend to be in, for people that have like subdivisions where they live in homes, that's kind of like the flower patch garden that a lot of these subdivisions will plant during the winter months. And then I did want to go back and show you these succulents. So what I like about succulents, and what I've realized that I like about succulents, is they're pretty cost effective. The only thing I will say about succulents is people will assume that they're an easy to care for plant because you don't have to water them. But what people don't understand is there are specific lighting requirements for succulents, as well as just the watering. Sometimes, we say that they will do well with not being watered, but they still need to be watered, if that makes any sense. I also wanted to show you how pretty these succulents can be. Like even the little minute nuances of the plants, I think structurally, succulents have a beautiful structure, especially when you find them in their perfection. Like when they start losing some leaves, that's when they start losing their shape. But look at how pretty this one is. You can even see that at the very tip, there's a little point that's really nice, and it just gives it a little bit more interest. Leave it in the comments, so plant foldies, if you agree with me. And if you made it this far into the video, as always, I'm asking if you can please hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps me out. It validates that I am doing a pretty good job for you. It validates that my efforts to make these 1-hour plant shopping videos daily help me out. So if you can, please hit the like button. That really does support me. And we're gonna go back inside now. And just like all of the Lowe's locations, Lowe's has different ways of merchandising their plants. It really varies from one big box store Lowe's to another. But what I can tell you is the common denominator, or what you will definitely expect at any Lowe's, is you will find Costa Farms plants, Live Trends plants, and Urban Jungle plants. Maybe some other plants, but for the most part, those are the major three. And you can see this one is a Costa Farms exotic angel plant. All of the 3-inch starters are going to be for $5.98. This one is a philodendron hederaceum, just a green form. They're also known as the philodendron hederaceum or philodendron cordatum. I still want to know if there's actually a difference between the philodendron, if that is actually a different type of philodendron. If you have any ideas, please leave that in the comments. I would like to know. And then over here, look at how gorgeous this croton gold dust is. You know, I do want to add crotons, but I feel like at this point of the year, I shouldn't add a croton because the temperatures are going to start to get a little bit cooler. And knowing how temperamental crotons can be, they do not like the cold. If you put them in a cold, environment, they will drop their leaves. They're pretty finicky in that sense. In many ways, crotons remind me of ficus plants. They kind of have that same characteristic where they need to have a lot of light, preferably full sun outdoors, but they also do not like to be in cold environments. So that's just a couple of other tips that I wanted to put out there as far as croton plants. But you can see over here, this is a plant that I'm really tempted to repurchase again. I've already sent it to Plant Heaven 4 times, but this is the Dracaena Florida Beauty. And the reason why I like it is because of that cosmic speckling on the leaves. I mean, look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, leave in the comments if you agree with me. But the thing about this plant is, it is just because it's named as a Dracaena, it is definitely different than the typical Dracaena care tips. And what I mean by that is it does require more frequent watering. It does require more bright light for it to be happy. And I'm just going to keep picking up some more exotic angel plants. You can see this is the Croton Bush on Fire. One thing I will say about the Croton Bush on Fire is I love how the lower leaves will be red, then it'll start to be orange, and then the new leaves will have more like a yellow tone. So it almost has like a gradient from like really hot, cool, colors. And then I'm going to take a little bit of time to show you different urban jungle hanging baskets of ceramic planters. This one is in another philodendron hederaceum, the green form, and I love just that heart-shaped leaf about it. Now this is for, I believe, $22.98. And then we have a Syndapsis. Now I don't know if this is the silver, and that's the one thing I will say about Syndapsis. For the Syndapsis lovers, please forgive me if I'm just overgeneralizing Syndapsis. I know that they have many different varieties, but unfortunately I don't know specifics. The thing about Syndapsis as compared to, say, Epipremnum aureum or a pothos plant is Syndapsis have a velvety texture to the leaves. They are a little bit slower growing, and they can get leggy if you do not provide them with quite a bit of bright indirect light. Beautiful bird's nest fern. I mean, you can see that it's got some scales to it too. Look at that texture on the leaves. Really nice. It almost reminds me of like a fish scale, or just the texture of it. Really like the look of that. And that is another plant that Urban Jungle has. And again, Urban Jungle, when it comes to their plants, these are 6-inch planters and ceramic planters, $22.98. Beautiful Epipremnum aureum, pearls and jade. I actually, come to think of it, don't have a pearls and jade pothos in my plant collection anymore. That would be another plant that I definitely need to add to my collection. Look at how gorgeous this is. And this is a little bit of faster grower as compared to the Njoy pothos. What I've noticed though with the Njoy pothos is it is one of the more least likely drought tolerant pothos plants. Like if you do not water an Njoy pothos, it will start to really droop. And then if you let it stay dry for a while, it will start to get leggy and lose leaves. I mean, just like any pothos, but Njoy pothos tends to do that. Pearls and jade is a little bit different. It's not as finicky as an Njoy pothos, but any pothos in general, though, I still feel like is going to be a plant that is easy to care for. Philodendron hederaceum Brazil, classic plant, easy to care for plant. I do think that a lot of people overlook this because they find this as a basic plant. But if you're going to ask me, as we get closer to the holidays, as we get closer to Christmas, as we look at plants that we can potentially give as gifts, this would be a plant I would recommend to give as a gift, the Philodendron hederaceum, as well as maybe a bird's nest fern. We're looking at these bird's nest fern, and it's still a pretty looking plant. The only thing about it is I am just a little bit cautious about ferns because I feel like they require a little bit more care in terms of just, I would say the plant watering. You know, it's all about the watering, and for me, I'm just really bad about watering my plants, so that tends to be a obstacle for me. Same thing with these Phoetonias. So these Phoetonias are in a 5.5-inch planter. These are for $7.98. Beautiful looking Phoetonia, and you can see that it's got that pink veining on it. It's also known as the nerve plant. Care tips for it is you want to make sure that you water this plant when the soil is about 60% dry. You want to never let it dry out completely. And if you're able to provide it with higher humidity, it will be happier. So as far as that, it's better to be to place this plant in a terrarium or a humidity dome. So the way you can do a humidity dome is you can actually put this plant under a glass jar, like a mason jar, like a big mason jar, and it will give it that extra humidity. These plants are more humidity loving plants, and these plants with that type of plant requirement are plants that I unfortunately will not add to my collection because I don't always have that high humidity for it. Now this Peperomia Ginny is a beautiful plant. It's got more of a succulent type texture to the leaves. It definitely can tolerate it can tolerate drought a little bit better than the average Peperomia, so that's an easy to care for plant. And then we've got some more live trends plants. So these are beautiful philodendron moonlight, and then what I really love is look at that that planter, very sleek, very modern looking, and it is just another plant that planter that I would add to my collection. And then we have Pachira aquatica right over here. Now Pachira aquatica, or what you know as the money tree plant, it is a plant that a lot of us will see. It is also known as a plant that people believe will bring you good luck, although I believe luck is really created by the choices you make. Sometimes the decisions we make on a daily basis versus what we're expecting because of luck, I think luck you can control. I actually tend to go more on like planning what I do on my daily basis versus expecting something pure out of luck. But other than that, it doesn't help to add something that might give you a little luck though. And some people do believe that the Pachira aquatica or the money tree is a plant that can give you some good prosperity. I prefer the stump version versus the braided version that I just showed earlier. And then you can see right here, Peperomia obtusifolia. This is just more of the green variety. And you can see right here, $14.98. Beautiful planter by Live Trends again. And this is another plant that is very durable, very easy. It is another plant that if you're going to give as a gift for Christmas or the holidays, would be a plant I would recommend because it's easy to care for. Alocasia Polly, and then this one is by Live Trends again, and you can see that Live Trends has this really cute looking snowman type planter that's super cute, and that's the thing I find so intriguing about Live Trends plants is they have some amazing planters. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Let me know in the comments, plant foldies, if you buy Live Trends plants, and let me know in the comments if you prefer Live Trends plants, Urban Jungle plants, or Costa Farms plants. I'm kind of curious. I want to do a poll, and obviously I just love that engagement from y'all, so please leave that in the comments. And then over here, as I walk down here, you can see that we have some reindeer planters by Live Trends again. This is absolutely adorable for $10.98. Love the minimalistic structure and how it just kind of has a simplistic reindeer look about it. These are very small details, but very simplistic details that I feel like draw you into the holiday season. Now, as far as air plants, you can grow them. You just want to make sure if you're going to water them, you just submerge them in water and then pull them out, let them dry completely, and that is it. This one right here is another Live Trends plant. So if you're going to look at something holiday, seasonally relevant, some type of Christmas plant or something to just make your area a little bit, your home or space a little bit more holiday themed, you should buy these new Live Trend planters that have the snowman face. Love that as so much. And then this one right over here, Ficus lyrata in a snowman planter. Now with the Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf, you already know the care tips would mean you need to give it lots of bright light, you need to stay on top of the watering, and you need to make sure that you're not moving it around too much because it is one of those plants that it will drop its leaves if it's moved around too much. And then I wanted to show you the beauty of this neon type bird's nest fern. Look at that snowman planter again. And this is again by Live Trends Planters. These are for $16.98. And you know, Live Trends, they are pretty much the premier seasonally relevant planters. They really do take the time to do that. I love the creativity of the Live Trends plants, and it's one that I would recommend, especially for those that are wanting to be more seasonally relevant. And so I'm going to pick up more plants and just kind of show you them. Like this right here is a Monstera Deliciosa. Beautiful plant. Love that Monstera Deliciosas have that natural shine to their leaf as well. But could you imagine using leaf shine like neem oil to just wipe it down and get it really nice and shiny? Beautiful plant. Love it, love it, love it. And the price is not that bad. It's only for $22.98. Definitely would recommend that. And you can see we've got ficus, Audrey, and then some more plants that I'm going to pick up. Let me know in the comments if you like these plants. Let me know if you like the snowflake pattern on that planter. I think it's adorable. And you can see we have so many different types of Live Trend plants, and I am a fan. I will say that their plant pricing is within reason, considering you are paying for a beautiful planter. And this is the one that I thought was a really nice full plant by Live Trends. This is a spathiphyllum, or what you call a peace lily, but look at how lush and full this is. Look at how green it is. You can actually put the spathiphyllum or peace lily in an area where it doesn't get a lot of light. It's very low light tolerant. Like basically you can grow this in a bathroom with no windows. Like seriously, I've done it before. It's done well for me. And so that is just another plant that is easy to care for. The only thing about it is, for me, I wouldn't want to put it in my collection just because I would have to water it more frequently. And it's a plant that definitely needs to be watered frequently. Otherwise it will droop and look like it's about to go to plant heaven. ZZ plant is an easy plant. This is a plant that literally you don't even have to water for an entire month and it will do just fine. That one is by Urban Jungle, and that one is for $18.98. Really like the green foliage about it. And there is something about, you know, plants that just have a bold green foliage leaf, or even that dark color. And obviously I want to get everybody excited, and I'm sorry if I continue to talk about these Aglaonema. $15.98, Costa Farms self-watering planter. You've got to get yourself an Aglaonema red Siam. This is one of the most basic plants to take care of. This is a plant that if I could gift every single plant foldy in Aglaonema red Siam, I would totally do it, just because it is such an easy plant. It is a beautiful plant. It is a plant that you can push out more of the red color depending on how much bright indirect light you give it. It is another plant that is easy to care for, overlooked all the time, and it's one of those plants that I don't understand why. And I ask every episode, you know, why these plants are underrated, and ask for the comments. So I hope you guys will take the time to just give me your plant insights on why whether you like the aglaonema or not, or why you think that it's so underrated, it is such an easy plant. And I'm gonna do my part as somebody who makes plant content. I always find it funny that some people will call me a plant influencer. I am definitely not. Call me a plant influencer when I have like 50,000 subscribers. I'm only at 11,000, but I will tell you, maybe we need to get somebody that is a huge plant influencer just to get the trends on plants, or maybe aglaonema need to just be even more expensive so people will find some value in it and think that it's like a trending plant. I don't know, leave it in the comments, plant foldies. Again, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as subscribing to my YouTube channel with all the notification bell on, because as you can see, even despite what I would say is despite having such a busy schedule the last 2 weeks, I am really attempting to get you guys that plant content, because I miss being able to chat with y'all. I miss being able to just talk about plants, and I miss being able to try to influence you guys to get these aglaonema. Now you can see this right here, this live trend planter. This is some type of Dracaena, but I really like that it just has white in the middle. So for those that know the actual plant ID for this Dracaena, let me know. This Dracaena, again, is low light tolerant and drought tolerant. It is an easy to care for plant. I would recommend it. This one is for $14.98. And you can see we've got even more plants right over here. I'm just gonna pick up a bunch of these Costa Farms exotic angel plants. These are for $5.98. This is a peperomia teardrop. And now I'm going to pick up some more live trends, ceramic hanging basket planters. These are the ones right here. We've got a beautiful Epiprimnum aria marble queen pothos. You can't get enough of these marble queen pothos, or just pothos in general. If you don't have a pothos plant in your plant collection, can you please buy one alongside with an aglaonema? And then you can see this one is a little bit dehydrated. This one is a philodendron heteroecium neon. This one is a beautiful plant as well. So it is basically the neon version of the philodendron heteroecium green version. Beautiful plant. Again, to get that yellow, you want to make sure that you're providing it with quite a bit of light. And I'm just going to keep picking up these hanging ceramic baskets of live transplanters. Like, look at how stunning this green marantha is. For me though, it will not enter my plant collection just because it is a harder plant to grow for me because of the care conditions. You need to make sure that the watering is consistent, as in you don't let the soil dry out. You need to make sure that it has a little bit more humidity. And then you also need to make sure that it's getting ample amount of light for it to really thrive. Now, the next couple of plants, like this marble queen pothos, this one will be easy to take care of alongside the other hanging baskets by Live Trends. Now, these are all for $24.98. Really good price. And you can see that these plants have a really lush and full presentation about them. I think that you're getting your money's worth. And that's the thing about going big box or plant shopping. Do not necessarily pick up a plant that you feel you need to buy that right then and there, especially like a philodendron heteroecium Brazil. Be a little bit more picky about the plants that you're picking, because you will eventually run into them. That's the reason why they're considered big box store plants. These plants will always be replenished. So don't feel the pressure to buy the plants. For me, that's what I've had to do in order for me to not spend a fortune on plants. I mean, I love plants. I think we all have some sort of plant addiction or some sort of plant love, whichever way you want to spin it. But for me, I already know that I have a plant addiction. I have accepted the fact that, you know, that plant addiction is running my life, but it also brings me a lot of joy. It keeps me productive. The only thing that's not productive is my bank account, you know, the amount of money I've spent. But being able to grow these plants, it is a good routine. it just keeps me grounded. And, you know, looking at this one, for instance, like as much as I want to buy this gorgeous 6-inch Costa Farms hanging basket for $16.98 of this Fittonia, I just know that if I take this plant, I'm not going to give it the time and need that it needs for it to be able to thrive. And so I'm going to have to hold off on growing and buying this Fittonia. I would rather buy this plant, and this is an Aglaonema. Somebody told me that the plant ID is the Aglaonema Frosted Ghost. So please leave me in the comments if that is actually the plant ID for it. I will say thank you to those that continue to give me plant IDs, gives me plant care tips, because Aglaonema are so forgiving. They're so easy. Everybody needs to buy them. And, you know, as a matter of fact, if you're following Costa Farms on Instagram, will you go ahead and let them know you're a plant foldie and we need to see more of the Aglaonema by Costa Farms. I was looking at their website and they had some older Aglaonema varieties I have not seen in the market for more than a year or two, and I'm hoping that maybe in a year or so or sooner they will have a new crop of these Aglaonema. The thing about Aglaonema is they are very slow growers, or at least I feel like they're slower growing than most plants that they have. And you would think that that would be a plant I wouldn't be interested in because of the rate of growth. But I just love the different varieties of them. I love their very striking colors. I love the white stems. I love the colors of the stems. And I love the fact that they push out baby pups that you can separate and share with others. Aglaonema, that one is for $15.98. And if I was gonna buy one, I already have like 5 of these in my plant collection. This would be the one because it has literally 4 plants and a bunch of little babies that you can separate. Now, Aglaonema, I have actually converted into semi-hydroponic substrate. So I've actually grown them more so in Leca versus Lechuza Pond now, because Lechuza Pond is out of stock on Amazon. So if you are in the DFW market and you have a bag for me that I can buy, please let me know, because I would absolutely love to be able to get that. Okay. That's one thing I would definitely want to add. And then you can see right over here, Calathea orbifolia. And yes, Calathea orbifolia is so tempting to buy. Look at how gorgeous the foliage is. But you already know with Calatheas, they're just a very finicky plant. And I do apologize for those that love Calatheas. I really don't want to try to discourage people from growing Calatheas. But at the same time, I feel like there is some, some care that needs to be put in there that maybe I'm just not putting in. But for the average person, I don't think Calatheas are necessarily the best plant to add in a plant collection, at least for beginners. Now, all of these urban jungle plants right here, $16.98, I would gift this. So if you're thinking about gifting somebody plants, I would go for the urban jungle hanging ceramic planters like this one right here, Philodendron micans. I love that as well. And that's another plant that I feel like it's been in the market for a while, but I've never seen a large hanging basket of Philodendron micans. Let me know in the comments if you run into that. That is such a gorgeous plant. And that is a plant that, at least for me, I've never seen Costa Farms release as an 8-inch planter. And I would think that people would be all over it for buying that plant. I mean, it's such an easy to care for plant. I will say with the Philodendron micans though, it does get leggy if you don't give it enough light. So, sometimes the lighting conditions again really dictate whether a plant's health, whether a plant will be healthy or not. So you want to make sure you stay on top of that. And then over here, we've got another Monstera Deliciosa by Urban Jungle. I do love the terracotta Urban Jungle plants. And I'm just going to show you some more of the Urban Jungle plants that they have available here. And then we also have a Hedera Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix King's Choice. I love the King's Choice English Ivy because you can see how tiny the leaves are, but you know what? All of those white webby stuff, that is spider mites. So this, unfortunately, is an English ivy that has a lot of spider mites, and I'm afraid that a lot of these plants may be infested with spider mites or at least eggs. So here's another thing I would tell you about buying big box store plants. And this is not anything negative about the big box store. It's really just more of a caution. Always assume that whenever you buy a plant, whether it's at a big box store or a local nursery, that the plant will have some type of plant pest. So you can't just buy a plant like this bromeliad and expect to put it in your plant collection. I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely spray it down with neem oil spray, insecticidal soap. I would spray the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of the leaves, the surface of the soil, the bottom of the drainage holes, the sides of the grower pot, just so you can try to eliminate as much of any potential pests as possible. That's just my, tips for anybody buying plants in general, because plant pests are terrible. And as you can see right here, this isn't really a full Lowe's location. You can see that they're still filling out their plants. They did put a bunch of Norfolk pine, but we're just gonna keep seeing what plants that they might have available here. I do enjoy going to Lowe's. It's interesting how they merchandise their plants. Like you can see right here, they actually have the Phalaenopsis orchids in a kokedama setting, but they're actually hanging them. So I love that. And with Phalaenopsis orchids, make sure that you do not overwater them. If you're going to put them in any type of substrate, make sure that you put them in only orchid bark type substrate. Do not try to put them in a soil substrate, because it will definitely rot them. And I'm just going to keep showing you these live trend plants right here and some more Costa Farms plants. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you would buy these plants as a Christmas gift or just a gift for anybody that loves plants. Looks like we've got some beautiful Scindapsus trubii moonlight, trending tropical plants, $19.98. I'm just going to pick up a couple of them. I've noticed though a lot of them are not as silvery foliage, they're more so green. So I don't know if it's because they just need a little bit more light. Let me know if you know anything about Scindapsus trubii moonlight. If you want to get them a little bit more silver, is it a lighting condition that you need to do? It is an easy to care for plant. It's a plant that I have on my to purchase list. It's just not one of my top priority plants. It is a very slow growing plant. I've stated that in a lot of my videos, but it is a classic plant. And what's interesting about this plant is it used to be very much rare, and now I am just thankful that Costa Farms was able to get more of these plants readily available for the general public. I always believe that plants definitely need to be accessible to the average person. I don't think plants need to be just for one specific group of people that have money. I think plants need to be available for everybody. So, as far as these plants, I'm just glad that Costa Farms is able to release them for cost-effective pricing. And you can see right over here, we've got a large philodendron tortum. And even though it has very like needle-like shaped leaves, this is a pretty durable philodendron. Love that as well for $19.98. I am a fan of the philodendron tortum. Let me know in the comments if you like philodendron tortum. It is a philodendron that needs to climb. So as it matures, it's going to need some type of like stake or pole to attach itself on, and it will even get larger leaves. It is a showstopper, and I just like that it has a different texture about the leaves. It's not, round and robust. It's more just very narrow. And you can see this one right here. If I were to buy a Calathea orbifolia today, this would be the one I would take. This would be the one that would actually send me over the edge and actually try to attempt to grow a Calathea again. I have only one more Calathea, and that one is also on the verge of going to plant heaven. So it's just one that I'm going to hold off on. Now, this $15.98 golden pothos, or I guess that's a jade pothos since it's mostly green. And we're going to pan over here, and wow. Do you see what I see? I see an Njoy neon pothos, neon Njoy pothos. I am so excited. Like, I wasn't expecting to see this, because when I did buy my neon Njoy pothos, I found it at Lowe's, but I specifically went to the Costa Farms Instagram stories where they had a store list. I don't think this particular Lowe's had was listed as one of them that carried them. Okay, even though I already have a neon Njoy pothos, I definitely want to buy a second one just because I do want to grow those out. So that's definitely going home with me. $19.98. This one is a lemon meringue pothos. Now, you notice how they're very similar. Now, the neon Njoy is actually a Teruno Japanese pothos. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the patent has already been over. So that way, I guess Costa Farms can actually sell them legally in mass quantities, but you can see they they've got the lemon meringue pothos, but look at that neon Njoy pothos. These are pretty full, beautiful plant. I love neon colored plants. I love pothos, so it has all the characteristics that I would look for as far as like the plant's look or aesthetics. Leave it in the comments again, plant foldies, if you agree, if you have a neon Njoy pothos. If you are looking for a neon Njoy pothos, they have 6 available at the North McKinney Lowe's. This is literally all the way up of I-75 on your way to Melissa, Texas. So super excited that I found this. I wasn't really expecting this. I wasn't really looking for this. And that's the beauty about making big box store plant shopping videos for the plant foldy community. Sometimes you are surprised with some of the plants that you run into. And today I was definitely surprised by the neon Njoy pothos. I definitely want to buy one. I definitely want to propagate and maybe share them with some of my friends that really like pothos plants. So if you are one of my friends, I already know Janae Simone and Steven of I Lift Plants wants to go, wants this plant. I may end up gifting them that. We'll see. And for those that have been seeing some of the commercials I placed into some of my my plant shopping videos for Cultivation Corner, please make sure you are following us on Instagram at Cultivation Corner, as well as subscribing to our official YouTube channel, Cultivation Corner. Here's the deal. We are going to be debuting our first season, our first episode, the first week of December. It will be a fun podcast. It'll be about a 30-minute podcast that we will showcase on our channel. So the first episode will go on my channel. The second episode will go with Janae Simone's channel. And then the third episode will go to Steven of I Lift Plants. So make sure you're subscribed to all 3, but all of those videos will eventually make it to the Cultivation Corner podcast channel. So the links will be available for y'all. Send me a direct message if you have any questions, leave a comment. But yes, Cultivation Corner, super excited. We're actually going to Peta's Planters to continue to film the remaining episodes for our season this coming Thursday. So thank you to Peta's Planters for always providing us a safe and amazing space to do our podcast. But as you can see right here, neon Njoy pothos. I feel like this is a great trending tropicals plant find. It is one of those plants that, was super, super expensive. Any Teruno Japanese pothos was super expensive, but as you can see, pothos plants, it is all about waiting a little bit longer for them to be a little bit more readily available in the US market. And I'm just glad that Costa Farms has been able to provide us with that plant, because it's a gorgeous plant. It's a neon plant. It's an easy to care for plant. It is a pothos plant. It's a plant that you should and need to put in your plant collection. So for those collecting pothos plants, you can go to this Lowe's. It's very, I guess most people wouldn't even expect that. And what's interesting is, and this is why I know I am a plant lover, is because I get excited over the littlest things, and it would be just being able to find and neon Njoy pothos. You can see a lot of people walking by me, and whenever I do these plant shopping videos, you'll notice I never get people in the background, but it's interesting how some people just look past these plants, but for me, I'm like getting super excited. Very nice looking plants. You can see that these are already starting to trail. It's going to be tough for me to find which one I want to buy. I do want to buy one that's super full and just grow it out. Leave it in the comments which one you would buy. But as you can see right here, $19.98. Great find for me. I feel like this neon Njoy pothos was unexpected, a pleasant surprise. It's one that's going to bring me some joy. It's one that's going to go ahead and dig into my pocket, my book again, as far as the plant funds I've done. So if you're looking for a plant gift for me, I love Lowe's gift cards. I tell my family and friends, if you're going to give me any kind of gift, you don't have to get me a Lowe's gift card. So guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button for this video. I hope you will also follow me on my new videos this week. This is Richie at Growfold. Bye. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of Preston Road in Frisco, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Growfold. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me directly if you want to connect. And today, right after work, I was able to do some filming, and I wanted to show you some more plants that are available at big box stores. You can see that we've got some holiday plants right here, some live Christmas tree plants. It is that season where we're going to be seeing a lot of dwarf Alberta spruce plants, pine trees, and cypress plants. So we're going to see what we have available. Obviously, I want to go highlight the indoor tropical plants. Costa Farms has actually been releasing a lot of new crops of indoor plants. But you already know, if you are watching my plant shopping videos, especially for big box stores, I want to highlight all types of plants, whether it is the indoor tropical plants or the outdoor gardening plants. I love plants in general, and it is amazing that we've really grown our plant community at Growfolds, my plant foldies. And again, for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. And just a little bit of insight, because people are asking why I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Originally, this plant YouTube channel was an ASMR origami channel where I was basically doing daily origami paper crane ASMR videos, but I've pivoted back to one of my biggest passions, which is to share my love for plants, whether it's indoor tropical plants or outdoor gardening plants. So I wanted to show you a couple of outdoor plants. Look at these gorgeous chrysanthemums, for instance. So, as far as like the fall seasonal plants, you definitely will see a lot of mums, or what you call chrysanthemums. I really love those plants. They are perennial plants. So if you were to grow them in an outdoor space, depending on your grow zone, my grow zone is 8B because I am actually based out in North Dallas. These chrysanthemums, when grown outdoors in a landscape, you can potentially get them to come back year after year. We've also got a bunch of croton petras, and with the fall season, we do see a lot of crotons, but as the season change, as we get into the holiday season, at least in the United States, you will see these crotons be replaced by a bunch of like conifers and pine trees and cypress trees. But I'm going to walk around here and just highlight a couple of the outdoor plants. You already know, as far as big box store plant shopping videos, I like to just showcase these outdoor plants. So I'm just going to walk around and show you what they have available at this Lowe's. It's super exciting to just be able to go and show you all of these plants. I know that if you are an avid Growfolds plant foldy, you will have seen these videos or these plants on previous videos, but I like to talk about them. That's the exciting part about doing daily plant shopping videos. I can give you my plant insights. And you can see right over here, we do have a Tradescanthia sauna. So with Tradescanthias, I love these plants because they're versatile plants. You can grow them outdoors as a hanging basket plant, or even indoors as a hanging basket plant. They love to trail. And then we also have a variegated rodeo oyster plant. I love the pink color of this particular plant. I love pink plants. I see that in all of my videos. But for $4.98, you can see that we have a rodeo oyster plant. Now this plant can be grown indoors as a house plant, but they actually do better as a patio plant. Bright indirect light is a really good source of light for this particular variegated rodeo oyster plant. These can get pretty big, and they also shoot out little pups, so you can actually grow and propagate a bunch more. That's how you would actually multiply this particular plant. Again, this is another plant that's pretty versatile. You can grow them indoors, but for the most part, people will grow them outdoors. That's the whole question about certain plants that are really more conducive to indoor settings. I would just say, and I say this about like the variegated rodeo oyster plant, it's the same thing with coleus plants. Some people believe that coleus plants, Tradescanthias, even begonias are really meant to be grown outdoors. But for me, it really just depends on your plant aesthetics. As far as like indoor tropical plants, people will say the philodendrons, the pothos plants, those types of plants are really meant to be grown indoors. But to go back to all of the plants right here, you see that we have an aloe vera diablo. This is by Oasis houseplants, and you can see that the borders around it, we have a bunch of like the red, and it's just interesting the diversity of plants we can run into, even with the aloe vera plant. And you know, for those that continue to watch my plant shopping videos, I honestly just love the fact that you guys have engaged with me, continue to watch my plant shopping videos, because it is very therapeutic for me to go to a big box store like Lowe's to just take you on a plant shopping journey and just to be able to talk about plants. Like for instance, right here, even though this variegated ajuga is really meant for outdoor gardening, and you can see that these roots are super healthy, I actually want to be able to grow this indoors. And some people will say that this looks more like an herb or even some type of vegetable. I like the look of it. And you know, as far as people saying there's certain plants that are just more so indoors, honestly, there is not an indoor plant that really exists. You know, as far as like an indoor plant, there's just certain plants that most people will grow more so as an indoor plant. But I always say, let's push the boundaries and see if we can grow some other plants that are more commonly grown as an indoor plant. So I want to kind of highlight that. I also want to take the time to show you plant products. So you can see that this is a supplement that you can actually get the beneficial bacteria in plants, or at least in the soil, to actually help the plant grow a little bit more established with its roots. And then you can see right over here, this is some type of spider plant. And what I like about the spider plant is you can see that it will push out even more babies. And I just find that interesting. You know, certain plants, whenever you propagate them, sometimes you have to propagate them through plant cutting propagations, but some plants will shoot out actual babies where you can, you know, chop them off and actually propagate them from the mother plant. And then there are certain plants, like for instance, Aglaonema, and you already know, if you watch my videos, I want to get all of you guys, all of the plant foldies, to start growing Aglaonemas. But for instance, Aglaonemas you can actually propagate, because Aglaonemas will push out little baby pups that you can separate from the mother plant. But for instance, these spider plants right over here, and I really love the fact that these are only for $19.89. You can get several little babies that you can propagate. And you know, that's an interesting plant here. I do find spider plants as another plant that is highly underrated. Most people will actually overlook it. And you know, that's the thing about growing plants in an indoor tropical setting, or at least indoor tropical plants in a plant collection. A lot of people will look for the more variegated rare aroids, but for me, it is all about what brings you joy and what plants interest you. For instance, like I love the fact that, you know, there are some encore azaleas. I love azaleas. They remind me of a Japanese garden, and I have always tried to establish my outdoor garden in my backyard as a Japanese garden. The thing about it is, with azaleas, a couple of things you want to consider if you're going to grow them in a garden. You want more acidic soil. So to amend the soil to make it more acidic, I would utilize coffee grounds. And then as far as growing, you know, encore azalea or even these gardenias, you want to make sure that you plant them in a soil that is going to be fast draining, acidic, and then also water them a little bit more frequently. You really don't want the soil to dry out completely for a long period of time. Otherwise, these particular plants, like the gardenias that we're showing here and the azaleas, they have very fine roots, and that's how they really decline in the health. Now, as far as this Lowe's location, you can see it's super full, and being based out in the North Dallas area, I am very fortunate, very lucky to be able to go to multiple big box stores to be able to find plants, whether it's indoor tropical plants or outdoor plants. You know, as far as a plant foldie is concerned, like I really want to see your plant insights. I always ask anybody that will give me the time to watch my videos. Number one, please make sure you are hitting the like button. So if you're logged into a YouTube account, definitely hit the like button, because that helps me out in terms of getting this content pushed out to more plant lovers like yourself. And then also just leaving comments about your favorite plants, any plant insights, any plant commentary. I absolutely love that. I love any type of engagement that I can receive. Hopefully it's always going to be a positive one. And then you can see right over here, if you notice that these labels, if they're crossed out, basically that is an indication at Lowe to tell you that this plant is on clearance. And typically whenever it's on clearance, it's 50% off. And that always goes back to the whole fact that big box stores, especially Lowe's, you can actually save a really good amount of money. You can actually save money on your plant collection, especially when you're looking for plants that are on clearance. And you can see right over here, that is another Tradescanthia. That is called a Tradescanthia pistachio. Really like the look of that as well. If you notice, the foliage is a little bit larger. It kind of reminds me of a Tradescanthia Nanook, but a white, a variegated version versus the pink ones. Now, these are plants that you can grow as an outdoor plant, maybe even as a ground cover. And then you can even see right over here, I did want to show you some ferns. So this one is for $9.98. Ferns can be grown as an indoor plant, but what I would say about ferns is the common denominator, or the current or the most common plant care tips for ferns, is you really don't want their soil to dry out completely. If you're able to give them a little bit more humidity, they do better. But you can see right over here, we have another Tradescanthia pistachio. Really like how large the foliage is, and this is super easy to propagate. You can take cuttings and you can stick them directly into the soil, or you can just do a water propagation where within like a day or two or maybe 3, you'll see some roots. They're very fast to root. And then you can see right over here again, we have some ferns. I am not the best at growing ferns. That's why I don't really have a lot in my plant collection, whether it's outdoor or definitely indoors, because these types of plants require a little bit more water. And, identifying yourself as somebody who doesn't water often, especially me, I am what you call an underwaterer. I don't water my plants nearly as much. And really that's due to the fact that I have a very busy lifestyle. Certain plants are not really conducive to me adding into my plant collection. But, as far as all of the plants you see at an outdoor section like this, I mean, this is a container, a mixed container with a Croton Petra and then a gorgeous looking Asiatic jasmine. Really nice color combination. Some people will do their own custom like containers of like potted up plants, but I like the fact that at a big box store like Lowe's, you can find custom made planters like this. This is for $32.98. It's more of a fall type of patio container plant, but you can see over here that we do have some remaining Croton Petras. The thing I will say about Croton Petras is they show up especially in early October for the fall season. And I think that it is a seasonally relevant plant in terms of just the fall type colors. However, Croton Petras are really native to Southeast Asian countries. I am from the Philippines originally. My family's from the Philippines. And I will say this plant really should be in an environment where it has tropical conditions, high humidity, full sun. And so I always find it quite interesting, especially in the United States, where people will buy these plants as a fall type plant because of the fall colors, but they don't realize that, number one, crotons do not like cold weather. And in the fall season, at least in the United States, it gets a little bit cold. And then number two, they require quite a bit of light. So, crotons can be grown in full sun. And it's just interesting, and that's the thing about like the plant business or just the plant community. There are certain plants that I feel strongly about that should not be seasonal plants. Croton Petras are one of them because putting out those crotons in a colder environment in the fall season, it makes the production of the plant really pointless, because a lot of those plants end up going to plant heaven. And I don't want to put a negative spin to it, but I think the average person buying a plant, especially for seasonal plants, they don't realize that these plants are really out of their element. And I feel very passionate about educating people about what those plants really mean. When you think about like the fall season, and then you think about the winter season, you see a bunch of like Norfolk pine. Norfolk pine come from a Norfolk island where it's not necessarily cold, but since it looks like a live Christmas tree, it ends up being a winter or a Christmas type plant when it's really not. Same thing with poinsettias. Poinsettias are actually endemic to, I believe, Mexico, which is more of a climate that is not really cold. And I don't know. I know that I'm giving you guys some plant insights, and I just find this YouTube channel as a platform where I can just give you my personal opinions about plants. And it's been a fun journey for me to be able to just go to a big box store, highlight these plants, be able to talk to them, talk about them and give you plant care tips, or just give you my plant insights. I utilize a lot of these plant shopping videos as more of a personal blog. I love to talk about plants. It just excites me. And the fact that you guys have actually taken the time, invested all of your time to be able to watch these plant shopping videos, I can't thank you enough. But I also want to see that we have that open dialogue in the community. Whenever I am going to these big box stores, like, it's interesting how this one at least says you can enjoy this particular plant for years to come. So yes, you can actually grow this particular, I think this is a dwarf Alberta spruce, where yes, you can treat it as like a live Christmas tree, put your Christmas decorations, but then after the Christmas holidays, you can actually plant this in a landscape and it becomes a focal plant. It does need full sun. And so as far as these like holiday live Christmas trees, I think that they can only grow for so long indoors, but you really want to grow them outdoors if you want to actually keep them going. And I understand that, like big nurseries will push out seasonal plants, like, all of those like live Christmas trees, all of the crotons that we see in the fall season. But it's just very baffling to me that a lot of these plants that are grown for the season, at least in the United States, end up going to plant heaven. And for me, whenever I look at certain nurseries, it takes a long time to grow these plants to some type of maturity to where you can put them at a big box store. A lot of these plants, like for instance, even these succulents right over here, look at that gorgeous orange color about it. I'm not really versed in succulents, but a lot of my videos, especially in the future videos, I want to make sure that I'm highlighting like succulents and cactus, because I feel like there is a certain person that loves these certain plants. I do believe that plants have a universal appeal. However, we do have our own like interest in terms of what plants we're going to be picking out. But to go back to the whole like seasonal relevance of certain plants, I just think that there is a lot of waste when it comes to plants. So you got to think about it. A lot of these plants end up going to a big box store. They have taken a lot of time to grow. They are in plastic containers. But how many of these plants actually go into a home that can provide the right conditions for these plants to grow long term? Plants are supposed to bring people joy, but then I also just think about the carbon footprint about certain plants. I feel like a lot of these plants that end up in these big box stores might end up becoming more wasteful, and it's a whole discussion in terms of just like how many of these plants are produced and how many of these plants actually end up in the trash and then just end up creating more pollution because of all of the plastics. And I know that I'm really delving into a lot of these plant insights. I know that a lot of our plant foldies, or even those that accidentally, and I say accidentally, click into my videos, because I am thankful that some of my videos are being recommended to more than just the person that has been watching my videos. But like, has anybody really sat down and thought about the impact of plants in terms of the plants and our environment? How many plants actually make it to a home? How many plants end up making it into the trash? And I don't want to put this as like a negative, connotation as far as like big box stores, but there is just such a huge demand for plants. But then again, how many of these plants end up like growing into a home where they actually grow long term? And I know that I'm panning over a lot of these succulents, but this has really been on my mind. I mean, I see a lot of these plant restocks, and I am super excited. So I'm hoping that you guys will continue to watch this video, because I do want to highlight a lot of the Costa Farms new releases. A lot of these big box stores, specifically Lowe's, has been getting a lot of like plant restocks. The holiday season is there. I feel like there is going to be a plan for everybody in terms of like what plants you might want to potentially give to somebody over the holiday season. What's exciting is that, I'm looking around here at Lowe's, and you can see that we have several of these succulents, and they're pretty affordable. I love the fact that succulents, as far as plants, whether you're going to grow them as an indoor plant, or better yet as a plant that will be outdoor in your patio, that way they can get more light. It's just interesting. What plants are you potentially wanting to give as a gift over the holidays? If you're gonna ask me like plants that you want to give to people, I always say give a plant that is easy care. All of the videos I've talked about in the last couple weeks, an easy care plant is defined, at least by me, as a plant that is number one, drought tolerant, number two, low light tolerant, and then number three, something that is cost effective, that is not going to break your bank. Like, you definitely don't want to just buy somebody, especially somebody that is beginning plants, like a variegated Monstera albo, something that's in the 3 digits. You want to find somebody that will get an easy to care for plant. So easy to care for plants are even succulents. Succulents, as long as you can provide them with a lot of bright light, whether it's bright indirect light or full sun, if you want to grow them outdoors, which I would suggest, you will be able to grow those long term. And as you can see right over here, Lowe's has a lot of succulents. I love the fact that they have mixed succulent containers, and then single source succulents. And as far as succulents in general, they're pretty cost effective, sometimes more so cost effective than even the indoor tropical plants. And I've started to notice those trends. You will see that there are a lot of succulents, like even this rainbow elephant bush, $24.98. You can see that there is a variegated version and then the green version. I did want to ask those that are watching this video today to leave comments about whether you appreciate just the green varieties of plants or the variegated versions. And you can see right over here, we do have a lot of succulents readily available. And you can see that the care tip is they want full sun. I always say, whenever you go to a big box store, you want to actually do a little bit of research, have the intentional, purpose of buying a specific plant. Like I talked about, money saving ways. And one way is to definitely have a plant budget before you go to a big box store. Definitely have some type of idea of what plant you want to buy. So whether you're going to go to Lowe's to go say buy a living Christmas tree, like a Norfolk pine, definitely do your research on the plant care tips. Like, I want to be able to provide plant care tips to all of our plant foldies. Sometimes I've been wrong about some of my plant care tips. A lot of my plant care tips is really based on my experience. Growing plants is all about experience. So either learning from others, doing your research online, but sometimes the plant care tips is not always going to be universal for everybody. Everybody has a different growing environment in their indoor space. Some people might have better lighting. Sometimes you might have like full-blown windows where you can provide indoor tropical plants with more light. And so that's the reason why I love to talk about, plants. I can talk to you all about plants and give you that insight. But as you can see, this Lowe's off of Preston Road in Frisco, Texas. It's right off of Warren as well. Warren Road, right next to the 99 Ranch. This is probably one of the best Lowe's to go plant shopping, because as you can see here, the outdoor section had a really good selection, but the indoor tropical section right here is always full, impactful, and also merchandise well. And that's another thing I want to say, as far as like going to a big box store. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more picky, a little bit more judgy on where you buy your indoor tropical plants. I always say, if a big box store has plants that are super organized and super full, that means that there is a staff that is actually taking care of the plant past the actual, grower. Like, for instance, Costa Farms. Obviously, if you have those plants from Costa Farms, somebody is going to be taking care of them. But once they make it into a big box store, it really falls into the big box store on whether they're going to take care of the plants. So be super picky. Be very vigilant in looking at the plants, whether they are super healthy, because that way you're not going to invite plant pests. Because if you have a big box store that has plants that are dying or has potential pests, then and it's not always a good idea to actually invest and buy plants. Now, I did walk over here because I wanted to show you poinsettias. Poinsettias is another example of plants that are more seasonally relevant to the actual season. So these are considered Christmas plants, even though they are a tropical plant. This one's quite interesting though, because this actually looks like a flower. Now the red parts of the poinsettia is not necessarily the bloom. The bloom is that tiny white bloom there, but the actual leaves are also colorful like that. I do want to buy a poinsettia, and the reason why I want to buy poinsettia is I do want to kind of join the bandwagon of having seasonal plants for Christmas, and this one is the one I want to buy for $9.98. This is a variegated type of poinsettia. Look at how gorgeous this is. I do want to try to grow this long term, and so for those that actually have poinsettia care tips, please leave that in the comments. I love the fact that a lot of the plant foldies, especially my most dedicated, most loyal viewers, you actually will share a lot of your plant care tips, and that's really exciting for the community because I honestly am not aware of all of the plant care tips for poinsettias, but this one is absolutely stunning. And I want to actually refrain looking at poinsettias as a Christmas or holiday plant. I kind of want to remove that stigma and maybe look at it as a plant with beautiful red foliage. That way, if I decide to try to grow this long-term indoors as a house plant, I'll be able to kind of desensitize or actually just not look at it as a Christmas plant, because the sad part is we have so many poinsettias that are produced, for instance, for the Christmas or the holiday season. But I beg to ask anybody watching this video, how many of those poinsettias that we put in churches, we put in local communities or just people's homes will actually last after the holidays? I beg to differ and say that most people are not growing these plants in February or March. A lot of these plants might end up even getting tossed into the trash, and I don't want to come off as being a little bit negative when it comes to these seasonal plants, because maybe that's really part of the business. But I also want to look at these plants as plants that had a native environment. I did my research that some poinsettias are actually endemic or actually native to Mexico, and that's the thing. It's not a winter plant. It's not a plant that just comes out of nowhere in the colder months. These plants need to be in more warmer environments. And that's the same thing with the Christmas cactus. So obviously the Christmas cactus is a succulent plant. It is a plant that is going to require a lot more sun, or at least a lot more light. They only call it the Christmas cactus is because it starts to bloom in that time of the year. It's one of those succulents that blooms at a certain time of the year. They also have what they call Thanksgiving cactus, but these ones right here are what you call the Christmas cactus, and that is only for $7.98. You can see that it's starting to bloom. What I like about this particular plant is if you give it the right care tips, as in like water when the soil is completely dry, provide it with quite a bit of bright light, you will be able to grow a Christmas cactus long-term for many years. A lot of people will have Christmas cactus that has been given down by, say, a grandmother, and it's actually an heirloom type plant. I think that's exciting. I think that as far as like growing plants long-term, you should be able to grow a plant for years. Like, there is this whole like fast business where we want the instant gratification. We can go to a big box store, buy a plant, and maybe grow it for a year, and then sometimes that plant will either go to plant heaven or we just end up disposing it. I know tonight, or at least in this video, I am kind of rambling on and giving you my plant insights, but I just feel like there's not enough discussion about these holiday plants. Like, look at this. There's so many poinsettias. I am just really curious, and these are really, cost effective. $9.98. Yeah, I'm buying a poinsettia today. Yes, I am buying that variegated poinsettia, but my goal is to be able to grow that poinsettia, not because I want it for the Christmas season. I don't really do a lot of like holiday decorating, to be honest. I don't even have my Christmas tree up. I don't really do Christmas trees. I only did that when I was, you know, a kid. That was something that I expected from my parents. But for the most part, I don't want to look at poinsettias as a Christmas decoration. I don't know if that makes any sense for anybody watching my videos right now. Yes, you know, if you are using poinsettias as more of like a holiday decoration, that is awesome. But I also want us to just think about these plants as a plant that you can potentially grow long-term as a house plant. You know, but maybe that's the reason why, you know, certain nurseries, certain big box stores or local nurseries will kind of succumb to having a lot of these available because they become more of a decorative, temporary thing. That kind of makes me a little bit sad because I don't think plants should be a temporary display. I think plants should be given a chance to grow long term. Now, for those that made it this far into the video, and I know I've been giving you a lot of plant insights today, plant folies, but you know, I don't know, I'm just really enjoying the process of having this platform where I can talk to you about these plants. Let me know in the comments what you think about poinsettias. Do you think they're really meant to be grown for, you know, maybe 3 to 4 weeks during the holiday season and then people dispose of it? Or do you feel like poinsettias should be a plant that should be looked at beyond the Christmas or holiday season? Let me know in the comments below. And then also, if you made it this far into the video and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. I know that I repeat myself in a lot of my videos, and honestly, I do not have any shame asking you guys to help support me. That is one direct way to grow this channel. You know, we are so close to getting to 12,000 subscribers. My goal is to hit 12,000 subscribers by the end of December. With your help of hitting the like button, that will be possible, as well as just that that engagement. So please do that. Now, as you can see right here, we have what they call the amaryllis plant. So this is another example of a holiday plant that a lot of people will either give as gifts or something that is more readily available in the month of November and December. I remember somebody gifting me a bulb of amaryllis, and what's really interesting is it was wrapped around a you know, some wax. I literally just set it in front of a south-facing window, and voila, you will see that it will sprout and then it will actually bloom. And I didn't have to water it. It just kind of just grew itself. And now what's interesting about this plant is, yes, it is one of those plants that again is utilized for the holiday season, especially for Christmas. But this plant can actually be grown into an outdoor space. And since it is a bulb, it would be considered a plant that could be potentially a perennial. And for those that don't know what the the term perennial is, depending on your grow zone, and I would always recommend anybody watching my plant shopping videos, definitely identify your grow zone if you're going to be doing outdoor gardening. But amaryllis can become perennials where they will come back year after year. And if you're going to ask me, especially if you're into the indoor gardening, perennials are what you want to go for, because then you don't have to keep buying plants year after year. They will come back year after year versus having to buy and then replant a plant. Now, this is what I was talking about, and this is the reason why I wanted to go to this big box store, is because I wanted to show you all of the Costa Farms plants. You can see right here, this is an Aglaonema red Siam, and I have been very passionate, very intentional about showing you Aglaonemas. For those that are probably tired of me talking about Aglaonemas, I do apologize, but I will continue to talk about Aglaonemas because I feel like this plant is a plant that is highly underrated, and it is a plant that I feel like if anybody is going to start a houseplant collection, you should get into it. Now, this one is some type of bird's nest fern, and you can see that there is a combination of plants that you will find at a big box store. So you'll see urban jungle plants, live trend plants, and obviously Costa Farms plants. I prefer all three nurseries that provide at big box stores. I mean, you can see right here, this is an Anthurium super bum. This one is by Urban Jungle. I really love the terracotta look of the plant, the planters, and you can see that this one right here is a Ficus Audrey. Now, any ficus plant They definitely need bright light. That is a number one requirement for a ficus plant. And then when you're watering a ficus plant, you can wait till the soil dries out completely and water it. The thing about ficus plants is they prefer consistency. So say you're watering your plant until it like dries out completely. You don't want to leave it with like long spouts of drought, whereas you're not watering it, especially the ficus lyrata, or what the fiddle fig leaf is right here. That definitely needs quite a bit of light. But if you're gonna bring this plant into a space, find a very bright space, whether it's a south facing window or a west facing window, and then also make sure that you have a schedule where you're watering it consistently. Now over here is another Trending Tropicals by Costa Farms. You can see that this is an Alocasia reginae. I think that's how you pronounce it. The thing about this Alocasia for $19.98 is it is an Alocasia. We know that Alocasias, or at least I know that Alocasias are a little bit more of a challenging to plant, of a plant to grow indoors long term, because they can be a little bit more spider mite prone. They do require more consistency in the watering, and sometimes they just don't want to live in an indoor space. I say Alocasias actually do better in a shaded patio area outdoors. But if you grow an Alocasia in a semi-hydro substrate, like lechuza pond, they will do better for you indoors. Now this one right here is an Aglaonema silver bay. You see Aglaonema silver bay in all of my plant shopping videos. And again, that's intentional. I want to get everybody excited about Aglaonemas. This one is a common plant, but just because it's a common plant does not mean that that plant is not going to bring you a lot of joy. That is for $27.98 by Costa Farms, and it's a pretty solid plant to grow. And then you can see right here, this is what you call the lucky bamboo, but this is actually a Dracaena sandriana. You can see that this plant is by Costa Farms again, and you can see that this is more of like the twisted variety. Now, as far as care tips for the Dracaena sandriana, you definitely want to make sure that you're giving it quite a bit of light. Most Dracaenas are more low light tolerant, but the Dracaena sandriana, more bright indirect light and in more frequent watering will really get it going. And then you can see right over here, we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids. You can't go to like a big box store or even a grocery store and not see a Phalaenopsis orchids. It really baffles me that any time of the year, whether it's the coldest months of winter, you will find a Phalaenopsis orchid, even though it is one of those plants that are basically from a tropical environment. This is another hanging basket by Costa Farm. So this is the rainbow moss. And for me, I am actually curious to see if anybody, number one, buys a hanging basket of rainbow moss for $20.98. And have you been able to grow this particular plant long term? Every time I go to a big box store and observe rainbow moss, after 2 to 3 weeks, it ends up just like dying, and it's just really sad. Now, this is a plant find, and it's an unexpected one. It's really nice to see that Costa Farms has re-released the chameleon ZZ plants. So if you notice, ZZ plants are easy to care for plants, but notice how the new growth comes out as a really bright neon yellow color with even some veining. As far as ZZ plants, even the chameleon ZZ, they're super drought tolerant. Like honestly, you should not water this plant until the soil is completely dry. And even then, you should let the soil dry out completely and let it stay dry for a while before you water it. Now, ZZ plants in general are low light tolerant plants. However, for the ZZ chameleon that I'm picking up here, and that's a Costa Farms Trending Tropical plant for $19.98, to maintain that beautiful neon new growth, or that variegation, or that just that coloration in general, you have to provide it with quite a bit of bright light. If you don't provide the chameleon ZZ with quite a bit of bright indirect light, or just bright light in general, it ends up reverting to more of a green, regular green ZZ plant. Now, as far as this urban jungle plant right over here, $14.98. Classic Dracaena Genicred compacta. This is a plant that most people will not pick up or buy. I think it's because people think that there's not a monetary value. It's not an expensive plant. But if you're thinking about a plant that's going to grow for you well long term, Dracaena Genicred compacta is where I would go. And again, I'm going to be picking up a bunch of these Costa Farms trending tropical plants, $19.98. This is a ZZ Chameleon, and it is absolutely stunning. So I did want to ask the viewers that are watching this video today, what do you think about the variegated or the ZZ plant Chameleon? Would you purchase this plant? I definitely love collecting ZZ plants. So I have a black ZZ, a ZZ Raven, a regular green ZZ, and then I am going to buy a ZZ Chameleon today. I think that as far as a plant is concerned, and I did talk about impulse buys. Yes, this is an impulse buy, but this is also a plant that I've had on my wish list. And I'm just super happy that Costa Farms has been able to re-release these plants. You know, sometimes I feel like Costa Farms gets a lot of wrath about just mass producing plants. Some people will even accuse Costa Farms of like taking away from small businesses because they're able to provide plants. But for me, it really depends. Some people buy at local nurseries. I buy local nurseries, small businesses, you know, plant shops of that nature. But I do find that, you know, Costa Farms, for instance, at least we have somebody or a nursery that's able to provide a lot of these exotic plants that wouldn't be so readily available. You know, big box stores, and that's the reason why I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos, is because big box stores are more readily available for the general public. Local nurseries or local plant shops may not always be available for the average person, especially if you live in a place where it's more rural, or it may not be as big of a city, say as like North Dallas. You're really you know, your real option is really just to go to a big box store. And that's the reason why I think that Costa Farms is doing a very good job about just getting more plants available. Another nursery I like that provides at big box stores would be Live Trends plants. They have the most sleek, most modern looking planters. I love the fact that this is for $16.98. This is an Epipremnum Aureum Neon Pothos. Love neon pothos. And when you talk about plants that you can have multiples of, pothos plants in general, I could have multiples of. Same thing with Aglaonemas, because they're so easy to take care of. You can see right over here, this is a Marble Queen Pothos, for instance, for $16.98. Now, any pothos plants, yes, they are low light tolerant, but when you put them in lower light conditions, they tend to get a little bit leggy. So again, it is all about that happy medium. If you're able to provide a plant with more bright indirect light, they're going to just perform better for you. Over here is a Philodendron Hederaceum green version for $16.98. Again, this is a Live Trends plant, and it is a plant that I feel like will bring you a lot of joy. It is an easy to care for plant, and I am an advocate when it comes to plant collecting, finding plants that are going to be easy care, because then you're going to be more encouraged to see the growth. Over here, you can see this is an Alocasia Jacqueline. I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for this, but I would not recommend buying an Alocasia Jacqueline, and it's because it's one of the more tricky plants to grow. It's beautiful, but it's one of those plants that requires a little bit more advanced care than the average person might be able to provide. Syndapsis, this one is a nice plant. Again, you can tell that this one needs to get watered because Syndapsis will actually curl its leaves when it's asking for water. So that's the thing about easy care plants. Plants that are easy care will let you know what they need. So sometimes they will droop, sometimes their leaves will curl. That means that you have to water them. But I just can't get over the fact that Costa Farms has provided more, chameleon ZZ plants. Like, yes, I was not intending to purchase this plant, but I definitely want to purchase it. The one plant I was actually looking for as I did this big box store plant shopping video was to buy a variegated poinsettia, because I think they're interesting, they're gorgeous, and I do want to grow a poinsettia beyond the Christmas holiday. I did want to ask, the viewers that are watching this video today, have you done your holiday Christmas shopping if you celebrate Christmas? And are you intending to maybe gift plants or give a plant as a gift over the holiday season? Please leave that in the comments. I do want to know what your insights are. And if you are going to give a gift, are you going to give like a Trending Tropicals Costa Farm plant? Are you going to look for a plant that maybe will be a little bit more cost effective? I'm just curious. But I did line up all of these chameleon ZZ plants, and you can just see, look at how beautiful the plant is. You know, ZZ plants, some people will sleep on them and not really be into them. For me, ZZ plants, even this chameleon ZZ, is one of the easiest plants to grow in an indoor space because they can tolerate lower light conditions. Now, for this particular plant though, this ZZ chameleon, in order for you to maintain that neon variegation, you definitely have to provide it with more light than the typical ZZ plant. But as far as the cost, yes, it is $19.98, but I feel like that is still a fair price for Costa Farms. Costa Farms has so many trending tropical plants, and I am so excited to continue to make some time to fill these plants. It has been a very hectic, very stressful week in terms of my career, my work, but making these plant shopping videos really is therapeutic for me. I love engaging with the community. Sometimes I'm not able to go chat as much on the live premiere chats, but every comment that you leave for me on my plant shopping videos, I will always respond. And if you haven't followed me already, please make sure you are following me on Instagram. You can send me a direct message anytime. I try to get back to everybody. So, you know, that's another platform that I utilize to just get the community going. Now, as far as these hanging baskets, notice how this is a gorgeous Syndapsis. This one is for $16.98. And then we have a large hanging basket of another spider plant. Really like the look of that as well. I do find it beautiful. And then we also have green Marantha hanging baskets. There are a couple actually that Costa Farms has released. And that's the thing about going to a big box store. You will see that certain nurseries, for instance, like Costa Farms, will release a different type of crop of plants. I did watch a YouTube video that Costa Farms had where basically it takes a couple of years to get enough stock for specific plants. I found that interesting, and then it also made me think about, again, the plants that we see at big box stores. Yes, they have multiples of a specific plant. Yes, they're pretty cost effective, but how many of those plants actually make it into a loving home that's going to be able to provide it? And, you know, as far as plants that go into plant heaven because nobody bought them at a big box store, or maybe the big box store didn't really give them a lot of care, it's just really disappointing. And I think that's a double-edged sword when it comes to just houseplants, and then also just the houseplant market. A lot of these plants just don't make it into a really kind home that's going to provide them and give them the care they need. And I just think about the carbon footprint of like all of these plants. I know that a lot of these big box stores, it's really a scan base type thing. So the big box store doesn't really lose money if these plants end up going into the trash. The only way some of these nurseries, like for instance Costa Farms, and correct me if I'm wrong, make money is when the plant is actually sold. But say the plant just makes it into plant heaven or gets tossed, Costa Farms or a nursery that's providing these plants will not really make any money. And so it is such an intricate business model in terms of just plants, big box stores, or just the demand of plants. Leave it in the comments though, plant foldies, what your insights are, because my insight right now is look at these Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema Maria, $15.98. And this is what I was talking about with Costa Farms. They have done an amazing job just getting more Aglaonema in the market. I need everybody to buy Aglaonemas. I mean, look at how gorgeous this is. This is just a green version. And I say this is just a green version, but honestly, green is beautiful. Green is a natural color, or at least what's synonymous to plants. And so I feel like if you're gonna buy an Aglaonema, you can still enjoy a green version. Aglaonemas are very colorful, and I'm gonna show you some more colorful Aglaonema. But as far as like the Aglaonema Maria here for $15.98, I bet you if you buy this plant and you follow my care tips, you will be able to grow this plant long term. Like as far as watering, you just water the Aglaonema when it is completely dry. Provide it with bright light, a bright indirect light, or if you put it in a darker space, it will still do well for you, and that's it. I mean, you can see right here, this is that Aglaonema anyamani. I think that's how you pronounce it. $19.98. And I've seen a lot of these particular Aglaonema at a big box store. I love the fact that it's pink. I love pink plants. Everybody loves pink plants, or at least I believe so, especially those my plant foldy, my subscribers. I mean, let me know in the comments if you're a fan of pink plants. And if you are, I am curious if you bought an Aglaonema. Like, look at the foliage, look at the leaves, and you know, as far as like the care tips, it doesn't take that much to grow this plant. It is low light tolerant and drought tolerant, and for $19.98, you will find a plant that, you know, is like these Aglaonema, where you have multiple plants in there. Typically, an Aglaonema Costa Farms trending tropical plant will have two main plants that you can separate, and it may have some babies, but look at how beautiful that pink is. I have actually been importing a lot of Aglaonema from overseas. You know, I would say Indonesia as a country has lots of really nice hybrid Aglaonema, and I couldn't help but splurge a little bit. And so I'm just super excited. I ended up buying plants from Green Spaces ID. And what I like about that particular Indonesian seller is I can send them a direct message on Instagram. They will show you, at least show me the specific plants I'm getting. And I end up also getting a pretty hefty discount just because I've been a loyal buyer from Green Spaces ID. I really love that. And, you know, some people have these horror stories where they don't necessarily trust, like an overseas vendor, but that's why I'm super lucky, because I've been able to vet out certain, Indonesian sellers like, Green Spaces ID, Art Garden Flowers on Instagram. You know, my friend Riki also has some amazing plants from Indonesia. And there's another Indonesian seller that I bought from last year. And you can see that they have a lot of these Aglaonema golden florets, beautiful Aglaonema, and you can see that there is a diverse variety of coloration when it comes to Aglaonema. I would recommend this Aglaonema as well. I love the pink stems, and these are all Costa Farms trending tropical Aglaonema, $19.98, and I'm just glad that they've released a lot of them. The one thing I will say about the Aglaonema from Costa Farms, I hope that Costa Farms will release some of their older varieties of Aglaonema. I really just want to see more Aglaonema readily available at big box stores. And then you can see right over here, we do have a Philodendron tortum. I remember when Philodendron tortum was quite expensive a couple years back, about 3 to 4 years ago. And again, Costa Farms has made it possible for us to attain these types of plants. Same thing with all of these different types of Calathea. You can see that this is the Calathea reginae, $19.98, beautiful plant as well. I do love that it's in a self-watering planter. Now, as far as a lot of the plants that I have been growing or buying from big box stores, I have been moving them to semi-hydroponic situations or substrates. I like Lechuza Pond. And this plant, though, is a Philodendron Hederaceum neon. Love that as well. That heart-shaped leaf is beautiful. $16.98 by Live Trends Plants. And then we have a Xanthosoma right here. Here's the thing about Xanthosoma. They're almost like a caladium / alocasia. I find that this plant is actually pretty easy to take care of. It will let you know when it needs water because it will start to droop. But what's interesting is when it starts to droop after watering it, within like 2 hours, the plant is totally fine. Some people will say that this plant is actually challenging to grow. In my indoor conditions, it's actually done very well for me. It's actually an easy to care for plant. And then speaking of easy to care for plants, so you can see that this is a ZZ plant for $15.98. It looks like Costa Farms has some new planters. I just wish that Costa Farms would release like very simple planters, but I wanted to walk over here and show you the difference between the green or common ZZ plant as compared to the ZZ plant that's the chameleon ZZ plant. You can see that they're similar in look, but the green ZZ plant is going to be a lot faster in its growth just because there's no variegation for it. And that's the thing about plants that are not variegated. The green varieties are always going to be a little bit more vigorous in their growth and a little bit easier to take care of. You can see that this one right here has that green foliage. ZZ plants, if you want an easy to care for plant, definitely buy yourself a ZZ plant as well as a Sansevieria. I mentioned this in all of my videos, but Sansevierias or snake plants, $15.98. It's an easy to care for plant. And what I love about this plant is it is readily available. So I can basically show you this plant today, and then when I do a plant shopping video, you know you will see a Sansevieria. I never get tired of featuring this plant. Some people will consider this plant a pretty basic plant, but at this channel, basic is amazing. Basic is the best. Basic is what all we need to get into as far as these plants. I mean, you can see right here, we've got a Syndapsis Trubii Moonlight for $19.98. Another trending tropicals by Costa Farms. And if you notice, this plant has been shown in all of my videos, pretty much all of my videos, and you know, it's surprisingly that I haven't actually bite the bullet on buying this plant, you know, and I think the reason being is I already know that this Syndapsis Trubii Moonlight is going to be available at any point. And that's the thing about certain plants, you know, there is always going to be a want and a need. A need is a plant that you have to buy right then and there. A want is a plant that you can hold off from buying because of either, you know, your plant budget, or if you feel like that plant is always going to be available. Philodendron Tortum, again, this is for $19.98. That one is becoming more readily available. And I'm just going to walk around this Lowe's and just kind of show you some more plants. I'm going to pick up a couple of these urban jungle plants right here. This is a Calathea and a bunch of live trend plants. Let me know in the comments section what you think about these plants. And if you made it this far into the video, again, please make sure you're hitting the like button for this video. I definitely would appreciate it. That is one way to really support me. And I am all about getting that, you know, that validation that, you know, my plant shopping videos are appreciated. And if you appreciate my work, my plant content, my plant insights, my plant commentary, please hit the like button. I'd also like for you to just leave comments for me about the plants that you've seen today, what plants you have in your plant collection, and whether you're going to buy an Aglaonema. I know that that is a shameless plug for Aglaonemas, but I have decided that this channel is really going to push that Aglaonema influence. But, you know, as far as the plants that I'm picking up as well, I mean, for the most part, they are fairly easy plants, except the Calatheas and the Stromanthes and the Maranthas. And I know that I sound really biased. I hope I don't discourage people from buying like Calatheas, but if I'm going to pick a plant to grow, I would still find those easy to care for basic plants that you would find at a big box store. And even this right here, this is a Live Trends plant. This is a Ficus elastica, or a rubber tree plant. The only thing that makes it slightly challenging is you do need to provide it with quite a bit of light. But other than that, it's another common plant that you'll find, and it's an easy to care for plant. And then you can see right over here, this Lowe's is always merchandised well. And you can see this is one of my favorite Aglaonema. Call it basic, call me basic, but basic is amazing. $15.98. You'll get several Aglaonema plants in this planter. You can separate it into multiple plants, and I want to buy another Aglaonema pink Siam. You know, as far as investing money, $19.98, I don't mind it because I love pink plants, and look at how gorgeous this is. It is just baffling that a lot of people are not posting more on social media about Aglaonemas or even collecting them. I am a certified Aglaonema collector, and I'm hoping that through my plant shopping videos or my plant content on YouTube, more people will be more excited about Aglaonemas, because look at this pink Aglaonema. This is a pink Aglaonema, pink Siam. Beautiful plant, $19.98, easy to care for plant. You don't have to water this plant as often. Like literally, you just have to wait for the soil to dry out completely and water it. And even if you underwater it and water it for a little bit longer, like at least go about not watering it for quite some time, this plant will still perform well for you. And that's the beautiful thing about this Aglaonema. And I just love the pink color, the pink Siam, and also the Aglaonema red Siam. They're both gorgeous plants, and they're plants that, if you're gonna ask my my honest opinion, you need to have in your plant collection. Same thing with any type of Aglaonema. You can see I'm just picking up this right over here, Aglaonema pink red Siam. That's for $15.98 by Costa Farms. That's in a self-watering planter, and I have moved a lot of my Aglaonema into semi-hydroponic substrates, so lechuza pond, but I'm actually using leca. I feel like leca is also a good semi-hydroponic substrate, and it's done very well for me. It is a little bit more cost effective as compared to growing plants in lechuza pond. And I'm just gonna keep picking up plants. Let me know again in the comment section what you think of these. And you already know that I will have another big box store plant shopping video tomorrow. So definitely continue to stay tuned into my plant shopping videos. But I don't mind just kind of walking around and showing you some more of these plants that are readily available. You know, we've got the golden pothos, basic plant, a plant that you need to have into your collection. Because I mean, look at how pretty that is. And that's only for $15.98. And then you can see this Aglaonema right here looks like it has had a little bit of abuse. Hopefully that will either get clearanced out, and if it is, I'll come back and buy that. But more pink Aglaonema. As you can see, plant foldies, I have no shame in really promoting Aglaonemas. It is one of my favorite genus of plants to grow, and it is an easy to care for plant. I repeat, it's so easy to take care of that I feel like if you really love my my plant shopping videos, you will at least try growing an Aglaonema, especially at Costa Farms Trending Tropical. They're not expensive for the quality of plant that you're gonna get. Obviously, the best time to go big box or plant shopping is now, because it seems like Costa Farms has pushed out a lot of new plants into these big box stores. And that's the thing about big box or plant shopping. You want to try to get these plants as soon as they make it into the big box store, because then they are the most healthy. They're not sitting at a big box store where they could potentially get neglected. Again, here is a Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree for $15.98. And I'm just going to keep picking up plants and showing you what plants are available at this Lowe's location.
You don't want my love.
am excited to see some Vanda orchids available. So I haven't seen a lot of Vanda orchids available at Lowe's. Earlier this year, I was able to see it, so it looks like they've been restocked. And what I like about Vanda orchids is they do remind me of my home country, which is the Philippines. And these Vanda orchids are very much endemic to the Philippines. You can pretty much see them everywhere. And I would say Vanda orchids are the queen of all orchids because they've got some massive blooms. And I just really love the fact that they have aerial roots like no other. This plant does not need to be in a substrate at all. It can just grow like that. So it's almost like an air plant. And then obviously we have a bunch of urban jungle hanging baskets and just more Phalaenopsis orchids. You know, Phalaenopsis orchids are beautiful. Their blooms typically last for about a month, and they're pretty easy to care for. I do want to grow some more Phalaenopsis orchids in my plant collection, but again, it is all about trying to be intentional with your plant collection, or at least for me. And I have been somewhat downsizing certain plants that are not bringing me joy, but then I'm also adding so many plants that do bring me joy. So it's a catch-22. It is one of those situations where when you are obsessed about plants or you love plants, you don't really know when to stop buying plants or at least acquiring them. At least that's my situation. I don't really regret it because, you know, plants are supposed to bring people happiness. They definitely bring me happiness. And what also brings me happiness is I can talk to you all about plants for about an hour. And for those that have actually stayed through and watched my videos, I mean, that's just really awesome. I like taking you alongside as I walk through the aisles of a big box store and show you plants like live trends, plants. Again, this is another seasonal setup. Look at how cute these air plants are. And it's really clever that they use these holiday type planters. You can see they've got snowman, and then they have all of these cute figurines right here. Live Trends, again, is one of the nurseries that is always going to be seasonally relevant, and that's really nice. It makes, plant decorating fun, and then with air plants, super easy to take care of plants. It's one of those where if you want to water it, you just submerge it in water, pull it out, let it dry, and that is it. You don't need to put it in a substrate, which makes it more versatile in terms of just putting them in cute little planters like this. Look at this little walrus. That's so cute. And then you can see we've got a polar bear right here with an air plant. These are all for $8.98. And Live Trends, again, it's one of those nurseries that provides really stylistic looking plants and planters. So love that. Let me know in the comments what you think about these seasonal plants and just the holiday type planters. Love the look of that. And I will continue to go big box stores and give you some more of my commentary, but I am looking for people to leave comments in the comment section just because I want to know your thoughts. I want to see what you're seeing. I want to see if your big box stores are also pushing out some new plants. That's the way we can all keep each other in the loop, especially about what plants are being released out in the market. really enjoyed just walking through the aisles of this big box store, Lowe's. You can see that they have so many beautiful plants. Again, please buy Aglaonemas. Buy the Silver Bay, the Aglaonema Red Siam, Aglaonema Pink Siam. Just buy it all. And guys, if you like this video today, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video. I enjoy talking about the plants and really giving you a lot of plant insights and thoughts. And as always, if you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Grow Folds with all the notification bell on. This is Richie. I'll see you on the next one.